Before we dive into today's video, I want to give a quick shout out to a young man named Sam Talton. Now, Mrs. Alfaro said that you didn't believe that we were related, so here's your shout out, buddy. Also, I'm going to send this your way, Jim's Goonlife hat, and I'm going to send you a patch. So, only thing I ask is that you make sure that you get A's in her class and try not to give her too hard of a time. But let's get into today's video. We're talking about something that might ruin your range day and how we can prevent it. A couple weeks ago, I saw this photo posted by Gladiator 6. Now, if you look closely, you can see what happened was the bolt broke off inside of the BCG, and then when they went to take the BCG out, the bolt stayed in the upper. Now, we don't know exactly what brand this is. We don't know if it was made by him, if it was kind of a Frankenstein gun, or what it was. It's a student at his course, so that's all we know. But it's not a knock on any individual gun manufacturer, but more so a lesson for all of us to learn from. And that's that anything on our guns can break at any moment. So are we prepared to fix it in the field should we need to? And I think that's where the White Label Armory range repair kit comes in handy. Full disclosure, this was sent to me by them for review, and it costs around $275. But what this essentially is the spare tire for what is your range kit, right? So what I mean by that is that we don't intend to use our spare tire, we don't want to use it, but when we need it, we're glad that we have it. And this is that, because everything in here, just about everything in here, I've seen fail at a range day. Now, we're talking centrifuge courses, Fieldcraft, Frank Proctor, Achilles Heel Tactical, and the list goes on and on and on. You go to enough courses, and even at our average Joe's range days, you see guns start to go down. So one of the things I see most often are extractors break, BCGs break in some way or shape or form, and triggers either bump fire or go dead. Having this allows you to fix that problem on site and not have to borrow somebody else's gun. To put this in perspective, if the guy in that photo, we think about, we don't know how far he drove from. So it could have been, a 15-minute drive to the range. It could have been an hour. He could have driven from out of town. We don't know. But he also paid a range fee, and he paid for ammo, and he had to take time off to be there for that course, only to have his gun break in that moment. So it's important to be able to fix it on site so that it doesn't ruin your whole day and you're not having to borrow somebody else's stuff. And even right now with everything going on, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to find replacement parts and replacement guns. Because I know some guys can say, oh, well, that's why I have multiple guns. But that's fine. But you're not always going to have all those guns with you all the time. Thinking about like at Average Joe's, now I have this with me, so if somebody's gun goes down, we can fix it on site. But really quick, let's go through what all it has inside. So we've got, and I will leave a link down below so you guys can go through the whole list and see everything that it has. But I'm just going to give a quick overview of what comes with it. So it does come in this Plano plastic case. We have everything from replacement cam pins, replacement bolts. You have a full BCG in here, firing springs. We have triggers. We have trigger pins. We have gas rings. We have replacement firing pin retainer pins. We've got extractors, extractor O-rings, everything that you could think of that you would need for your gun should it go down, and routine maintenance. Like, you can use these parts for routine maintenance. And this is what you should be carrying as a supplement to what's in your range bag. Because we have everything we need on range, but what happens when that goes wrong, right? If we knew when it was going to break, we would be prepared for that item, but we never know when it's going to happen. So that's where a kit like this comes in handy. And the only other thing that I think I would add to this kit, aside from everything that's in here, I think it's fully built out and complete, everything that you need. The only thing I may add is a extra safety. Because I have seen guys who have broken safeties, or the pin that depresses inside, if you're using an ambi safety, will sometimes break and it'll come off. So being able to replace that would be, it's kind of important, having a safety that functions. But that would probably be the only thing that I would add in here. From a functional standpoint, something that I would like to see maybe in a future iteration of this, and this is just the mechanic in me. We've had small parts cases like this in the past when I was working on bikes or cars, and we would have all the part numbers listed and the quantity of each, just so it made it easy so you could look at whatever little box it is and then go, okay, here's the part number, so I can go to the website, find it, and make sure that I don't run out of that item. But outside of that, this is, I think, probably one of the most underrated pieces of kit that I've come across, because I've had to personally replace not an extractor. So we were at a Fieldcraft course. They were here teaching in Fort Worth, and I was out there with TRIARC doing some demo stuff. They left and they had to go back to the shop. I continued just to hang out there, answer questions, and take photos for them. And we had a guy whose extractor broke in his BCG. Now, I didn't have a punch with me or an extra extractor to replace it, so I ended up just giving him the BCG out of my gun. He got a brand new BCG essentially, and he got a little bit of an upgrade, and I took his old one and then got it replaced. So if I hadn't have been there, if that wouldn't have happened, he would have essentially had to end his day on range because there was nobody else who he could have used. He could have swapped out with somebody else or whatever, but it's frustrating to have to use somebody else's equipment when you're trying to be proficient with your own. I've also been out at the Achilles course, the Achilles heel tactical course. I was out there taking photos, and we had a couple of guys' triggers go down where they were bump firing, and it was a mil-spec trigger, it was a Geisley trigger. No one brand is going to be 100% perfect all the time. So having something like this, being prepared to fix it, would have made their day a lot easier. But what ended up happening was we had two guys who ended up having to borrow other people's guns for the remainder of the course. So, that's great if you're on course with a bunch of people, but if you're by yourself, that's a very frustrating thing because you have essentially just wasted the time and money to get there on range and not be able to shoot. One of the added benefits of having this as a part of your kit is that it allows you to do things like routine maintenance on your gun. Things like gas rings are not something that we often think about, but if you are somebody who runs a shorter barrel gun or who runs suppressed, things like these wear out a little bit faster. So something like this would be beneficial to change these out more frequently and to just keep an eye on them so that as you notice they are starting to go bad, you can replace them. And having them at your disposal makes that really easy to do rather than you looking at it while you're cleaning and going, oh, I need to order some of those, and then never really ordering them and never replacing them until one breaks. Stuff like that, you're going to see your firing pin retaining pins. These are going to get beat up a little more often, especially if you're running a shorter gun. Cam pins, you'll start to notice more wear on these, again, especially with shorter guns. Stuff like that is really important. It's not just an emergency repair kit, but it's also something that's good for routine maintenance. So I highly recommend this for you. And even if you're looking at it as, man, that's a lot of money for those spare parts that I don't know if I'm going to use it. If you're not shooting that often, maybe it's not worth it for you. But if you are going shooting once a week, a couple times a month, whatever it is, if you're doing it on a routine basis and you're trying to get better and be more proficient, you're putting in the time, this is something I would recommend investing in. And maybe it's a little bit steep for you to invest in on your own. So maybe you and a couple buddies invest in together. If you got a group of guys you go shoot with on a routine basis, throw in $25 or $50 a piece, and then you guys have that kit at your disposal. So when you guys go out to the range, if somebody's gun goes down, you can fix it on site. I highly recommend you consider getting one of these as a part of your range kit. Go check out White Label Armory. They are an American company who prides themselves on American-made parts and making quality American-made parts. They do a really good job of shipping out really quick and answering any questions you have. They have a ton of OEM parts for AR variants, so go check them out. That's all I got for you guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Boom. Done. I was supposed to be wearing this shirt all along. Shout out to the guys from Retro Rifle for the dope shirt. He's upset. He got a new toy. He doesn't want to have to stop playing with it to use the restroom. So he's crying for Mickey Mouse right now. Wait for that to be done. Kids, they said. Fun, they said. I love